Welcome, dear listener, to another mist-wrapped mystery from Tales from the Fog. Tonight, we step into the shadowy alleys of Whitechapel, but with a different lens. We all know the name, Jack the Ripper, a phantom figure. A man, so we're told, who stalked the fog-filled streets of 1888 London, claiming the lives of at least 5 women in gruesome fashion. But what if I told you that the greatest assumption about the Ripper was never truly questioned? What if Jack wasn't a man? You see, in the panic and chaos of the time, investigators quickly concluded that the killer must be male. Strong, cunning, brutal, and above all, a predator. But Victorian society had blind spots, deep, gaping ones, especially when it came to women. Could a female killer have hidden in plain sight? Beneath a corset, behind a nurse's apron, or perhaps inside the very homes of those who trusted her most? Tonight, we explore the forgotten female suspects, the overlooked evidence, and the deeply uncomfortable idea that Jack the Ripper might have been Jill. Let's begin. Back in 1888, the streets of Whitechapel were cloaked in fear. Newspapers were filled with gruesome details, and theories multiplied like rats in the alleyways. But from the very beginning, authorities operated on one core assumption. The killer was a man. Why? Because of the violence, the strength, the surgical precision. But let's pause there. The so-called surgical nature of the murders, organs removed, bodies arranged, led many to believe the killer had medical knowledge. But who else had access to blades and anatomy in Victorian England? Midwives, butchers, nurses, women, often invisible to the public eye, working quietly in domestic or medical spaces, all with sharp tools and bloody aprons. No one suspected them. In fact, many witnesses described seeing a woman near the crime scenes. In one report, a female figure in a cloak was spotted speaking with a victim just before her death. In another, a witness recalled seeing what they thought was a couple, man and woman, walking together. But what if both were women? What if the man was a woman in disguise, or simply misremembered in the chaos of flickering gaslight? It wasn't unheard of for women to dress in men's clothing for work, anonymity, or survival. Yet because of the cultural mindset of the time, that women were gentle, maternal, incapable of sadism, these leads were brushed aside. The idea that a woman could commit such horrific acts simply didn't fit the narrative. But some women did. And one of them might have had the motive, means, and opportunity. Let's talk about Mary Piercy. Mary Piercy was no stranger to scandal, or to blood. In 1890, just 2 years after the Ripper murders gripped London, Mary was convicted of the brutal killing of her lover's wife and child. She lured them into her home, murdered them both, and then calmly pushed their bodies through the streets in a baby carriage, blood dripping beneath the wheels. When police entered her home, they found the walls soaked in blood. Her explanation? Killing mice. She was executed by hanging at Newgate Prison, but not before newspapers, both in Britain and abroad, began to whisper. Could Mary Piercy have been Jack the Ripper? She was known to frequent the same areas in Whitechapel. She had a violent streak. And most chilling of all, her method of killing bore disturbing similarities to the Ripper's. Some theorists even believe she had a personal motive, jealousy. That the Ripper killings were not random but targeted, crimes of passion disguised as serial murder. But here's the twist. Piercy was never seriously investigated in connection to the Ripper case. Why? Because by then, the idea of a female killer had already been quietly buried. Even when the New York Times published an article suggesting that Jack the Ripper might, in fact, be a woman, it was dismissed as sensationalism. Yet the evidence lingered in the shadows. A woman could approach female victims without raising suspicion. She could lead them down alleyways, speak to them face to face, even disarm them emotionally. And in a society that refused to believe in female violence, she could walk away unnoticed, while everyone searched for a man in the fog. And in a society that refused to believe in female violence, she could walk away unnoticed, while everyone searched for a man in the fog. Mary Piercy may be the most infamous female suspect, but she wasn't the only one. There were whispers of other women, servants, midwives, even wives of doctors, who fit the timeline, the location, or the skill set. Some historians have pointed to anonymous letters and diary entries from women claiming to know more than they should. Others suggest the Ripper could have been a woman working with a man, a team, hiding in plain sight. And then there's the psychology. In recent years, criminologists have revisited the Ripper case with fresh eyes and modern profiling techniques. Some have noted that the killer's choice of victims, the overkill, the rage, it doesn't neatly fit the pattern of a typical male serial killer. It feels personal, emotional, chaotic. Traits often, though not exclusively, associated with female offenders, particularly those driven by jealousy, betrayal, or revenge. We may never know who Jack the Ripper truly was, but perhaps that's because we've been looking for the wrong silhouette, expecting a hat, a mustache, a knife in a gloved hand, when in truth, the real face of the Ripper might have worn a bonnet, or walked with a child, or smiled sweetly before she disappeared back into the fog. Thank you for joining me for this theory. If it made you think twice, if it left a chill in the air, don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay curious and stay close to the light.